Having another conversation with Veterans Memorial Hospital CEO Micheal Coyle. The referendum coming up for City of Waukon and Allamakee County voters on November 8th on whether the county wants to make a Veterans Memorial Hospital a county-owned facility as compared to a city-owned facility. And since absentee balloting is getting close to getting underway, we decided to break down some of these issues that are facing the county right now. And Micheal, the first question I'll ask you is, how did we get to this point? Why is this potential change necessary to move it from a city-owned to a county-owned facility?
Well, thanks, Darren. I'm glad to be with everybody again today. November 8th is going to be a really big day for VMH. Currently we are city owned, and the movement from city to county allows us to get some appropriations, some tax levy dollars that we can use for capital purchases, things like roofs and infrastructure and windows and whatever else we need to keep the 70-year-old building going. Now's the perfect time. The last couple of years, we've had some dollars that we've gotten from the COVID relief funds, which allowed us to do some things here on campus, including, flooring, and we've added cardiac systems and nurse call systems and new beds and some infrastructure. But we've been putting a lot of Band-Aids on things. And as we start to grow our organization, we're finding very quickly that we have a few areas that just need more space. They need to be updated to meet the expectations of our patients within the county.
And looking at this issue brings into the next question of the financial stability of Veterans Memorial Hospital right now. How is the hospital doing presently when it comes to finances?
Well, we're not going to close anytime soon, which is a great thing. We're about a break-even facility right now. The last couple years, pre 2019, 18, 19 and in 18, excuse me, those 2 years we struggled a little bit, and that's about the same time that Mayo decided to exit Waukon. That had a huge negative impact on our facility. We lost 7, 8 very good providers. And that was a lot of volume that ended up going over to Winneshiek and to Gunderson and La Crosse. And so that was huge for us. The last couple of years, Roxanne, our CFO, has done an amazing job making sure that we right the ship, that we've taken a look at operational pieces here. We've added service lines. We've added obviously 2 clinics, one here in Waukon 18 months ago, and the newest one in Postville in early July. That has allowed us to have some downstream revenue in the hospital in areas like lab and radiology and therapy and surgery. So those dollars are helping us get close to break even. But even at break even, there's no money for infrastructure updates. There's no money for some of those larger things that we have to do over the next few years. So financially, it's a little good, it's a little bad, about break even, but break even, like I said, just does not allow us to keep on expanding and add services that our patients need.
Why is it important for Veterans Memorial Hospital to remain a independent entity as compared to potentially merging with a Mayo or a Gunderson?
Well, right now we have a great partnership with Gunderson. They're on one side of the campus, our clinic's on the other side of the campus. The providers at Gunderson do an amazing job of putting patients in our hospital. They work with us to help cover inpatients, and they help us cover emergency room and some of those other services. But at the end of the day, the board really wants to be independent. It's difficult for an organization that has a home office 200 miles away to really understand what has to be done in the local community. So our board of directors has made it pretty clear that they want local control by folks in the county and people who know what we all go through. We know our conservative nature. We know what kind of care that we want to receive. So we want to make sure that leadership and that ownership stays local. The other thing, and we're able to stay very nimble, Darren. And what I mean by that is if we need to make a kind of a right-hand turn to meet a regulation or to meet an external force, we can do it pretty quickly. We have basically no levels of bureaucracy that tells us, hey, we can't do that. And then finally, we don't have policies, procedures, and a one size fits all. So when you're in a large system like that, you may come up with one best practice that has to be done by 8 or 9 facilities, even though it doesn't make sense inside those facilities, reducing efficiencies and decreasing employee engagement. So all those things tells us we need to stay independent.
When it comes to the hospital's governing board, the board of trustees, if this vote is a positive vote, how would the board of trustees structure change? Who would get to vote on that board of trustees, et cetera?
Well, the board of trustees would definitely change because we're city owned. All the board of trustees are required to be within Waukon proper. Okay. Once we go to county, we really hope that folks from all over the county want to sit on the hospital board. There are no districts for the hospital board. That's been a question asked several times, but statute doesn't require us to have districts. And quite frankly, most hospitals our size don't have trustee districts. So everybody's at large. We encourage people from Harper's and New Albin and Lansing and Postville to petition to be on the board. So after the election, the Board of Supervisors will appoint the first board. It'll go from 5 people to 7 people. And then those folks will work the transition for 12 months. In the next voting cycle in 2023, every one of those that were appointed are now up for election. And then once we get 7 elected, 4 will be randomly drawn out of a hat for a 4-year term, and 3 will randomly be drawn for a 3-year term. And then we'll continue to cycle that as we move forward. And like I said, the goal is to have representation from all over the county and not just from the city of Waukon.
Of course, this is going to have an effect on people's pocketbooks and people's property tax bill. I always hesitate to ask what would an average home, because who knows what an average home is. There's a lot of factors outside of all of our controls related to valuation of property. But when it comes to property taxes, what would a positive vote mean to a normal Alameda County property owner?
Well, the first of all, the levy that we're looking at is $950,000. So we know we live in a conservative county. We didn't want a levy amount that was above $1 million. We felt that that's just not fair to the voters. And quite frankly, $1,950,000, a little bit more than that, is really what our annual depreciation is. And so that's where that levy amount goes. It allows us to fund that depreciation and continue to work on capital equipment. Now, what's it going to cost? If you take the taxable value, and this is what's important, not the resale value, not what you think you can purchase a home for, it's actual taxable value. The mill rate's $1.09 per thousand. So you take your taxable value times 0.00109, and you're going to have a pretty good idea what your tax rate is.
So, in other words, it isn't like this is going to make up even 50% of hospital revenue or anything like that. It's basically, from the outside looking in, tell me if I'm wrong, it kind of provides a little bit of a cushion for the hospital financially to not be on that break even balance point financially. Is that a fair synopsis?
That's a fair synopsis, Darren. Really, those dollars are going to be used strictly for capital. And so right now, if we don't have dollars for capital, we just don't do it. We put a Band-Aid on stuff. And we know that's not the right way to handle equipment or a building, because the more Band-Aids you put on when you finally fix it, it becomes way more expensive. So this slight levy allows us to look strategically for years to come. So if we know we're going to have $1 million roof and we've got another $1 million worth of infrastructure that is high in our list, we know that we can complete those things in 2 years, but also have levy income for year 3, 4, and 5 for other things that are going to pop up. And we don't have to be so reactive. We can be proactive and use those funds even better. And that's really what we're designing to do. We really want to use those funds to think strategically and prioritize what we need to get done. But by no stretch of the imagination is it enough to fund everything we have to do. We still have to have a positive operating margin. We still have to be very judicious on the dollars that we spend, and we have to be as efficient as possible. That will not change. We're still, even though we're not for profit, we have to run the business like it is for profit. I like to tell staff, no margin, no mission. If you don't have something there, you can't do what you want to do. So you got to have something in the bank.
With a positive vote coming up on November 8th, you talk about these capital improvement. What tops the list of those capital improvements that you would go after first if the positive vote happens on November 8th?
Well, we have an electronic medical record system that is antiquated at best. It's not used by anybody in the region except for us. It was what we could afford 4 or 5 years ago, but it's not the most efficient EMR, electronic medical record. It doesn't communicate with the Gundersons, the Mayos, or Prairie du Chienes of the world, the University of Iowa, very well at all. So that would probably that would be our first dive in, is to replace our electronic medical record. We like to call it portability, Darren. That's when, if I go from here to somewhere else, my record can follow me. The providers can dive into the record and see what's happening in the local clinic, so they can have a good continuity of care. That's so important. Also, the system that we're looking at has way more efficiencies built in. Right now, our providers spend way too much time tapping away on a keyboard, trying to find what they need in a record, and not enough time with their patients. And that's just not fair to the patient. So we need to build some efficiencies into this thing, and then make sure we can communicate with all of our strategic partners like Gunderson and Mayo and University of Iowa and the other folks in the region. Then after that, after that, we've got a big roof project that we have to do. And then if you take a look at the overall infrastructure, the sewer, the plumbing, our parking lots, if you take a look at some of that stuff, it's in sorry state. And, our patients need to make sure when they come in that our infrastructure will set us up for any renovation that we need to do in the upcoming years.
And when you look at your current structure at Veterans Memorial Hospital being a city-owned facility, that's kind of rare in the state of Iowa nowadays, correct?
Yeah, there's very few city-owned entities. And the reason is because there's no access to levy amounts. So, to be city-owned right now, our biggest benefit is we get IPERS for our employees, which is fantastic, the Iowa Public Employee Retirement System. We have access to our tax-free or area, so we don't have to pay taxes on our supplies and equipment. So not quite not for profit. We just don't have to pay those taxes, which is great. And we get a little bit of credit in sewer and water, less than $50,000 in the year. And then if we need the city for, they'll come and paint lines, and if we need their equipment and they'll let us, they'll come in and help us out a little bit. But really, there's no levy dollars. And what I think a lot of people fail to remember is that if there's a positive bottom line at the hospital, it doesn't flow over to the city. Likewise, if we lose money, it doesn't flow over to the city. Everything is contained within the hospital proper.
And if this vote becomes a positive one on November 8th, will that have any impact on emergency medical services?
It doesn't. And I think that's really important. We have 6 ambulance districts here in Almaquee County, and each one is sacred to their community, right? As a recovering paramedic for 20 years, I understand how working as a paramedic or an EMT in a community, you're taking care of your friends and neighbors. And when you're sick, you want those faces to come in and take care of you. You don't want strangers. And so we're dedicated to ensure that EMS doesn't change. Now, if something happens to an ambulance service and they can't cover a call because of lack of staff, we're going to be there for you. We're going to do our best. We're not flush with staff by any stretch of the imagination either, but we're going to be there. If it's a BLS or a basic life support call and they need advanced life support, so we do an intercept, and that's where we meet together and take care of the patient, we're going to do that. That's in the best patient interest. But by no stretch of the imagination do we want to take over any of the ambulance services. That's not something we've discussed. The dollars received from our levy does not impact EMS. The way that we fund our trucks is by the 7 townships in the city of Waukon, and then some dollars from the county, which they give us $5,000. It's not a ton of money, but it's something. We'll take it. And that helps cover some of those transfers and some of those calls outside of the Waukon district. But otherwise, things are going to be status quo. And we're doing that on purpose, right? We don't want to take over those ambulance services.
Mhm.
We want them to stay local by local people.
And when it comes to the vote itself, is it a simple majority needed to pass?
Yes, it is. And so this gets a little complicated. I'll try to make it as easy as possible. Let's just assume that 1,000 people from Waukon proper, go and vote. So those folks, those 1,000 folks, we need 501, just a simple majority. Then we throw all those votes back in the hat again, and we add, let's say, 2,000 more in the county. So now a total of 3,000. We need 1,501. Because the vote, if you live in Waukon, you're voting to give up the hospital, but then everybody in the county is voting to take on the hospital. So it's a little weird, but it's still only one vote. So, but yes, simple majority. And what will happen is once that vote is done on that Thursday, the following week, the auditor will certify that vote or convey the vote. And then just like that, all the assets from the city, from the hospital get transferred over to the county, and we become county managed. Yep.
And how long of a process is it? Is it going to happen pretty quick if the vote is a positive one?
Yeah, it happens instantaneously,
Okay.
actually. And then there's some work that Roxanne, my CFO, and I and the board will have to do on the backside. We'll have to work with the city a little bit. I mean, there's abstracts that need to be updated and those type of things. But really, statute basically says that upon convey of the vote, the assets immediately get moved from city to county, and that's right in statute.
We'll let you guys take care of all the boring stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the boring stuff of this thing, all that paperwork, but it's important. We want to make sure we do it right. And that, the city has treated us pretty well for decades, but it's time for us to move from city to county and be part of all the other hospitals in Iowa that are county owned, have access to some levy dollars so we can make sure that we have the tools and equipment when you need us.
And early voting pretty much going to be starting here in the not too distant future. If people want to not wait until election day to get their voice opinion out there, what do they do?
Yeah, so if you go to the Almaquee County elections.iowa.gov/vote, I know that's a lot of stuff, but anyway, basically you're just going to go and grab a ballot from the courthouse, and then you can vote. It has to be done. Early voting ends 20 days before November 8th. So if you do the math, it's October 19th, and then it ends at about 5 p.m. the night on the 19th. And so you can check with the auditor's office for more information. But that, if you can't be here on the 8th, we really, really want you to get out and vote. We want to see the support that we have in the county for what we're doing. The other thing is you can do it by absentee ballot, and that has to be returned by 5 p.m. 15 days before the election. And I had to make some notes here. October 24th is when the absentee ballots have to be returned. And when you go to our website, which is veteransmemorialhospital.com/vote, yes, this information's on there. And it talks about how to do the absentee ballot. It talks about the early ballot. Plus, it also gives you a bunch of testimonials, videos, facts, and questions. It lists all of our community forums, which we encourage people to come to. Been a little surprised. They haven't been super well attended. Amazing questions. But, this time of the year, we're trying to get crops out and school has started. I totally get it. But this is your opportunity to hold our feet to the fire and ask a lot of questions. So we have a bunch coming up yet in Postville and Waukon. And again, if you own a small business, if you got a group of people that want a presentation or just to sit around a table and talk about it, all you have to do is reach out to Aaron Behrens or my executive assistant, Liz Hoynes, and we'll get it set up. It's easy for us to do. We really want people to know the information so they're informed.
Anything we're missing? Anything else you want to pass on regarding the vote coming up on November 8th?
Not so much the vote, but we have some amazing news. We've been working on our behavioral health program with the help of county social services and Micheal County Board of Supervisors who gave us funds. We launched that clinic on the 17th. So renovation is done. Tara is seeing patients on the 17th. And this is such a needed service in the region. We listened, we heard, we were able to start that clinic, and Tara's already starting to fill up. So, and if you need behavioral or mental health treatment, you can call. You don't need a referral from your primary care provider. Please, let us help you out with that. The other great news is I got Alex Behrens, a local guy here, owns a home right on the golf course, grew up in the area. He also starts seeing patients in our walk-on clinic on the 17th as well. His schedule's already starting to fill up. So, we heard a year and a half ago, we need more access to healthcare, and that's what we're doing. And this ties in with what we're doing from a county perspective. We really want people to stay local for their healthcare. When care stays local, our employees stay local, and that's really what we want.
Michael, appreciate the time and the information about the upcoming vote and other things regarding Veterans Memorial Hospital. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Micheal Coyle with the Veterans Memorial Hospital, the vote coming up on November 8th.